Mr. Lightning Bolt, the famed protagonist of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, a man that not only delivers on every aspect of epic, elite, built different skills, and resume longer than most of the most high-tier acclaimed people across the verse. One of the best protagonists of video games, one of, if not for some people, the GOAT of Metal Gear, and easily stands as one of the most greatest representations of how to make a badass superhero, anti-hero, be one of the most crazy cutthroat swords of justice, the famed cyborg samurai ninja Raiden. First is Kestis, the Padawan scarred, turned into a reformed man, not only standing on duty, on higher calling, standing for freedom, duty to not only the order, but as well standing against the evil great empire, and facing across multiple boards the most ridiculous odds, and is one of the most revered Jedi and or characters across Star Wars, not only canon, but non-canon. With this being said, as you see by the title, I'm here to explain, as always, and has always been, precisely prone to do, why these characters are not equal, and why, and you see in the title, why Raiden versus Kestis is a complete mismatch. If you're new here, though, please either like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what more possible versus battles or what the heck you might have in mind in the comments down below. If you disagree with anything in this video, my Discord is RPK324. We can have a cohesive debate or whatever the case may be. Regardless of that, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, mommy. Love y'all. Let's go get it in. Raiden, a great famed clone of solidness, born in Liberia, but because of being a clone directly of another person, skin mix, but the famed technical South African became not only a built different trained foxhound soldier from a very young age, with unparalleled skill, a master of several martial arts said to be, and is one of the most built different skilled combatants across the board, self-taught when it came down to sword play, and even with being self-taught, could scale to the most ridiculous scale to regard people, and stood aside the greatest super soldier of all of Metal Gear, who is said multiple times by Raiden to be better than him, but is even still put in revered stance by Solid Snake. And there's so many reasons for why Solid Snake is stronger than Raiden. I'm not going to get into that, but Raiden would not lie when this man is not only said to be a military and combat genius, is such a revered, not only, built different person with his ingenious and analytical high scope capabilities, always being in a very Dexter Morgan level practical analyzation of things. So to me, this easily puts this man not only stake on high pedigree, but as well still extends the bar for Raiden to be definitely like top 3, top 4 type nigga in the verse when it comes down to all of Metal Gear. So that's easy enough, power scaling metric. I've talked about a few different characters of Metal Gear. Not only have I talked about Senator Armstrong, I've talked about this man Jester Sam, and most recent when it comes down to Metal Gear Sundowner. And let's just say that Raiden would reasonably scale to all, to even above everybody I just listed. He beat Monsoon, the famed case of the Wild Wind. He beat the Cold Wind of France when it comes down to Mistral. He obviously defeated countless different foes in opposition that can be shown in different scans, and scales to people of the most ridiculous skill regard. Because of him taking a high, not only caliber punch from Senator Armstrong that entirely obliterated all of Excelsis, this man Raiden will be scaling to large town level amounts of AP, and this will be way greater than him just lifting Metal Gears or lifting Excelsis that produce all this whoppy-doo number math of jewels. And again, with his skill and accolades going from Metal Gear 4, aka Metal Gear Solid 4, to Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and being over his Metal Gear 4 again body, would be scaling out over, just the case of the people from those games, but because of his new body, would showcase that he can stand tit for tat, bang for bang, ball for ball against the most ridiculous people and odds. And it would grow even higher with this, because again, like with other characters, he's able to take out Metal Gears, and these Metal Gears were able not only to be able to take on possible nukes in their planning, but as well because of different cross-run scaling, because of the fact of Metal Gears all around being built to take nuclear wars, explosions, anything of that sort of yield, would reasonably give an estimate between, at low end, a multi-city block level character to reasonably a multi-city reasonable stand to reasonably confidently put Raiden on the tier of a mountain level accolade of individual. especially because, again, defeating people that scale very much roughly to this, in this sense being all the Winds of Destruction, arguably, to Extreme Sam, over Senator Armstrong, killing him with the blade of Muramasa. And obviously I'm using a cyborg body with his iconic lightning bolt blade. I'm not going to be giving into Muramasa unless you want to talk about possible prep time capabilities, but we're not getting to that. But yeah, that would be pretty much easy, scaling across the board for Raiden. When it comes down to speed, there's multiple showcases of light speed capabilities being not only a very much consistent, persistent thing within the verse, that not only characters at a point lower than what Raiden is now would be at, but as well the fact that Raiden consistently scales to not only light speed, multi-echelon of things. He would grow from scaling to people that are obviously, light speed themselves, and as well Ripper mode mixed with Blade mode extends his speed. He becomes fully Jack the Ripper. He's very ridiculously resistant. And again, a martial, different cases like martial arts, and as well different stylistically built different swordplay is akin to being, I feel like, the Achilles of this verse, where he's a whole built different whimsical person, and his master of different multiple case of weapons that are not his by owning could also be an argument for prep time, having not only multiple different other HF weapons besides his, which we're going to tap into that, where this man can literally use anything as a weapon at his disposal. A master, different CQC akin to Solid Snake and Big Boss. Besides, all that will reasonably put him, obviously, from being a bullet timer and scaling above multiple different people that can also use like electricity and lightning to be reasonably below a sim, massively hypersonic to very much consistent to me, multiple times the speed of light to pushing about the speed of light between 30, 40, 50% time. So yeah, pretty consistently a pushing, the speed of light type person. When it comes up to his weapon, the HF blade, the high frequency blade, is not only a built different blade, no pun intended, and or repetition, but is a weapon of the most ridiculous versatility in its very simplistic art. As an HF blade is obvious with the name, does not hit at a normal physical form level. It hits at the Planck scale, aka atoms. It is what people in the verse battle community have coined to be case of not only a weapon that is one of the most cracked possibilities of weapons, but bypasses durability, as it hits a person at the Planck scale, atoms, very extremistically, in numerous ways is able to split an edge, cut at people's bodies in ways that pretty much makes them, in some different occasions with their body, obsolete in different form. This again is something that the verse battle community across the board will call durability negation, where not only, without saying like in a racist way, allows them to pretty much negate and nigger pretty much every person that gets around, this obstacle possibly at face value, as again it doesn't hit you in a physical level, and if you are made out of contemporary matter, aka you in any way follow the laws of physics and or a person that literally does not have any resistance to this stuff, aka you're like another HF blade, you're a physics breaking person like Senator Armstrong, or you're a character that literally has an inept unique form of not only weapon and or suit of armor that can arguably push past this, you are most likely getting cut in the most visceral way. So the high frequency blade of Raiden that is equal to a more superior blade in the Murasama blade and or Muramasa of this man Extreme Sam, the Brazilian Wind, who is a built different combatant, would easily conclude this man Extreme Sam not only to be a very built different skilled person to even scale to a blade that's able to outdo his own, but as well make someone like Raiden a built different skilled person because of all this, but because he was able to, suffice to say, with also obviously again this man Extreme Sam's weapon, defeat Senator Armstrong and even be able to bang out with him hand to hand and put some hurt on him when he has nanomachines that literally harden in defense of physical trauma. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this man Raiden. Time to go talk about Cal Kestis. Far, far away stands Cal Kestis, a boy put for not only fortune and calamity by the Empire, and akin to Raiden, was down in the dump, orphan, without parents, without a sense of hope, and a sense of anything besides loss. What is being said, and motivating people in Star Wars, he is force sensitive. He became a Jedi Knight during the reign of the Galactic Empire. As one of the few Jedi who survived the Purge that all but destroyed the Jedi Order, Kestis lived in seclusion on the planted Baraka for years into a confrontation with the Inquisitors, compelled him to openly resist the Empire's rule. Hunted across the galaxy by the Empire's Jedi hunters, Kestis embraced his connection to the Force once more, having decided to restore the Jedi Order. The Padawan of Jedi Master Jaro Talal, Kestis served alongside his mentor in the Clone Wars, until the Grand Army of the Republic betrayed the Jedi officers after receiving the command to execute Order 66 from Supreme Councilor Chief Palpatine. As a result, the clone troopers on the 13th Battalion attempted to execute Kestis as a traitor to the Galactic Republic, forcing General Talal to sacrifice himself in order to save his apprentice. After his master's death, Kestis lived in exile in Baraka, working as a ridger for the Scrapper Guild, aka pretty much a guy like Crushers, like technology and materials coming from him. Regardless of that, he didn't discover the second sister, the ninth sister Inquisitors on the Empire, right? Kestis joined the crew of the starship Stinger Mantis after they rescued him from the Inquisitors. Over the course of their journey, Kestis befriended Droid BD-1, the former Jedi Kiri Judah, the Mantis Captain Grease Dritus, and the ninth sister Marine. In this sense, they attempted to locate Eno Cordo's Jedi hologram, and from this, the rest of the journey of not only Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor is up in the ropes. To cover over Fallen Order and on the scale that would already be applicable from there, with him again befriending all these different people across the board, across with these characters in multiple forms, this would not only have this man Cal Kestis being aligned with the greatest possible force against the Empire at this time, but as well, he slowly would build up not only his connection to the Force again and showcase multiple capabilities. So to start off with his hacks, not only like any other person that is aligned with the Force, he's very Force sensitive, is able to not only gauge things in a sense of eagle vision, where he's able to tap into the past, tap into possible future with precognition. He is able to obtain different not only visions that allow him to sense things in ridiculous ways. He has a form of echolocation through it, showing when he's able to go and tap into the past through different crystals, mirrors, and he's able to remember things literally like a form of a mirror, remembering the teachings of multiple different masters and people that this man is not even entirely certain over, but just in the legacy, as the Force allows him to connect the people on an astronomical way. And there's so much shit that I'm going to show on screen that kind of goes into big detailed ways that I cannot best definitely say, as again when he faced Inquisitors over the Empire and was fighting them, he slowly grasped more into the greater cosmology that ties to the Force. But let's just say the Force is kind of this power system that he and multiple people across the board go through, and not just within, canon and legends. He has all different type of ties to. So with that being said, this man Cal Kestis is a very built different person, and is tied with so much different unique hacks because of the Force that it's a lot more bigger. He has telekinesis, telepathy. He's able to go and pinpoint shots, control people's bodies, doing all different type of crazy things, not only with people's bodies but other things. He's able to repel forces back with large objects. He's able to pull a lot of the most craziest shit, akin to Magneto, some like freaking Invisible Woman, even with force fields. He's able to force stop. He's able to tap into the dark side if he wanted to, but it's a very much high stress factor thing, akin to Spartan Rage or the Ghost Stance. It is a one-time scenario that, again, if he pops into it like any other person, he really be bringing out the Blacker Force energy. And with a new found purpose of tapping into the Force, he becomes stronger than ever, tapping into his skills, gaining his lightsaber, having a dual-sided stance, split-edge stances across the board in multiple showcases that allow him to be not only a very different type of dynamic person, but pretty much be a Swiss Army knife of the Jedi Order when it comes down to all his different betrayals. When it comes down to all the martial arts skill to make sword stances that he would be akin to, would be not only advanced versions seen in not only baseness to Japanese sword skill, knight sword skill, but multiple different forms of sword tricks in different places, but all the martial arts delivered on screen from not only, multiple different other Jedis that this man Cal Kestis would have some form of relevance to or practicing the same means to, would put him pretty much very much confidently on this scale a lot of the time consistently. With that being said, Cal Kestis, an actual power scale, is standing tit for tit, bang for bang against multiple different very much opposing forces, he would put down multiple different reigns of different opposition, not just across Fallen Order, but at different accounts against, different odds within Survivor. As not only he would be able to defeat the Knife Sister and take away her right arm, this man would also be able to defeat the case of the Top Inquisitor, would be able to survive somewhat of an encounter against Darth Vader, even if he was frightened more than any person, as Darth Vader puts the fear of God in most people, and as well has the reveredment in multiple different talks and novelization of Jedi not only Fallen Order, but different accounts of Survivor of being a built different combatant that could scale to the most ridiculous forms. As in the case of the Republic era, aka the prime of the Jedi Order, they were at top standing, and then someone like this man Cal was said to be better than most different revered people of this time, and would be scaling over multiple revered names by his own accounting that I don't know every person of, but some of these things are shown on screen to dictate this, and he scales to any different prime acclaimed people that you might think are high Jedi Order individuals or people, and the fact that he was even being just a Padawan, being an apprentice, was around the same era when someone like Anakin was still on the Force of Light and not on the Force of Dark. With this being said, he would be scaling to the highest revered case of people, and because scaling too near these different people, like I said in my shameless plug, why Sundowner first is the Knife Sister, including one sided video, he would be scaling easily over multiple Jedi that scale to multi-city block to reasonably mountain level yields, with scaling over multiple asteroids. Someone like Yoda being able to stop a big monstrous big block creature the size of literally Kansas, trying to go about not only crushing a great deal part of Earth's atmosphere and shaking a planet with a sheer roar, which would then scale to mix back multiple other things like multi-continental. But because of Yoda's different mix-up scaling, different scaling across the board with that, and the people that he's defeated, not only again in Fallen Order, but as well Star Wars Jedi Survivor, will most likely indicate, like across the board other people, that he should scale very much roughly to multi-dwarf level scales in the case of a star, as again all these people scale to different cosmic to celestial bodies. So being again from lowest end a multi-continental to multi-dwarf star level person is not too insane to think about an actual probability and possibility, with that being said, of him being able to stand two people that give out that same usherment. When multiple scans on screen, multiple different statements should conclude this, and tied with his, obviously, skill and hacks, he's been able to defeat multiple people with not only the same similar hacks. He's going to fight somebody with precognition, fight somebody with similar stance skills akin to the case of Darth Maul, face the greatest case of dark side people. He said it'd be greater than people that in their prime were a lot more better than him, in the words of Sarah, right? And as well, is said to be by multiple different acclaimed people to be pretty high tier in the Star Wars, not only canon cosmology, but even in Legends. Obviously, that doesn't mean if you think you want to be whole, Star Wars Raiden Mario, Cal, he doesn't really do that much, to high tiers, he only has 2 games, and, he's not like Star Killer, what I'm saying? If you're going to compare to that, not only is obviously one not canon, but he doesn't have to be as bogusly built, different, powerful as the Broly of Star Wars to be this ridiculous. Even if you think Cal is more of like a solid tier character and isn't a pillar of power, he obviously doesn't scale to Darth Vader, he doesn't scale to a bunch of these other different high-end people, and he's definitely not a, how should I say this, prestige Jedi, at least from what I'm saying right now, my knowledge here. But it doesn't mean that he's not very top tier, and even though, from what I know, Star Killer does most likely slap Cal, Cal is at least still a top tier person. Again, don't compare canon to Legends. It's basically like comparing a crossover character to a canon character. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I'm hoping I made it very clear in all illustration with my point here that he's very much reasonably a build different combatant and purpose of like not only being a build different foe, but as well person when it comes down to all those things that he said. And speed, he obviously with multiple times scale to light. Light is a multiple time persistent use thing in the Star Wars universe. Multiple characters use light beams, light rays, plasma, and different conductors of that, and it's very much a criteria for multiple characters to scale to across the board in this world. And there's also the fact that he scales other people that just scale very aimlessly to this, and scaling the light is just the bare minimum within it. So scaling multiple times the speed of light is not too surprising to a very high-end regard. With his lightsabers, again, they all have the same amount of material and great fabric, but they're very cutting edge weapons. Not akin to an HF blade, but for their world, they would be pretty much the standard organization for pretty much being walking time bomb equivalent of weapons. These weapons are literally some great sage weapons of the galaxy, and he has not only BD to help him with like syringes, healing. He has multiple different kits and things to help him. He's very smart, very creative, very ambidextrous, is very unorthodox, agile, mobile, is skilled in multiple different form of things. He's very resistant. He has somewhat of a healing factor like other Jedi Masters, not anything like the level of Hulk, but allows him to be very resilient. He has crazy adrenaline, and by different other accord, he also has a piece akin to like a pistol, but of something of higher regard, so he can use that mixture with stuff. That is it for Cal Kestis of this standing point now. I will get to the rest later when I actually play the game. Editing can take that away. If it isn't obvious, even we're coming back to this with obviously playing Jedi Survivor, this man Cal slaps in so many ways. Survivor just extends the bar, and by the time of actually re-editing this, I've added everything that actually slates to being a lot more powerful. So everything I show now is kind of just a re-establishment of everything I have to say. Cal is not only 1,000 times way more stronger, he has better hacks, arguable better force showing in different not only mix-ups of not only skill, different tactics and capabilities. He has so many ways to body this man Raiden, using the dark side, dispersing this man of the senses, force choke, mind hacks. He has way more better usages of obviously, mixed bag supernatural capabilities. His skill aligned with the fact that he is obviously dozens of times faster than this man by literally hundreds to even thousands of times. Is just not going to be close. He's going to get bodied. He's going to get shredded. It's going to be GG's for him. And yeah, there shouldn't even be any argument for how, even if you try to equal the stats, it wouldn't change anything. And if you give them prep time, for each other as with equal stats, Raiden probably wouldn't get decimated instantly, but there's a lot of ways that this man Cal could just instantaneously body him before he could do anything. And the HF blade would really not really help him. Like, unless you stretch the bar for him possibly to get an indirect shot, I don't see that working at all. Cal's way more better capabilities to best Raiden. He's a lot more resourceful. He's shown better catalog and resume over people. And everything I'm saying about Cal, I believe, is because Cal hails from Star Wars. He'll be able to do pretty confidently. So it would be GG's for him. Suppose that. I don't have much more to really like to say. And all of it, that's all I really have to say when it comes down to the battle. Prep time, again, would not change anything. Motherfucker Cal would literally just overtack on this man Raiden before he could even actually comprehend any of it, and it would just be OD level of bodying for this man Raiden. Again, he can literally disperse his dude off the senses, bust open his brain, do a lot of different crazy shit that Raiden could not even actually react to and or comprehend. Can lift this dude up in the air, burst him like a balloon, or literally fucking just blam him into the ground. Literally could freaking airbend almost seeming with this dude, and literally coolly, just fully outmaneuver him in so many ways to where he would dispatch this dude to God. He would blitz and sage this dude, run around him, and the way that he killed the Knife Sister, I could see in every capacity this man doing to him, or even what he did to, White Hair Brother, you know what I'm saying? It would just be entirely a decimation, and again, he could literally lift him up, full fucking voodoo magic, lift this dude around, and with telekinesis could fully crush this dude like a fucking can, squish this man's body open, and or just clamp him into the ground, have him over here looking like a thumbtack in the ground. He's gonna do him worse than Senator Armstrong ever did, my nigga. It's not even gonna be funny. But yeah, that's it for Cal Kestis. That's all I really have to say. With that being said, the last thing I'll leave y'all on is that kind of quote by Cal Kestis, quote unquote. I've been alone for a while now, without any purpose, just hiding. There's no way to live, not for a Jedi or a droid. Maybe Siri was right. Maybe we're done hiding. Cal Kestis to BD/1. Love y'all. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out, mommy. Love y'all.